disappointed with the results last week, but when you don't play well and that things like that happen. My hat's off to Kansas. I thought their kids played really hard. They had a good plan and they came out and beat us. So you hopefully learn from that and move on. We've got to play Carolina team that's had a lot of turmoil around it, but boy was I impressed watching them play. They played really hard against LSU. They never gave up, and they've got a lot of good players. Don't think for a minute that they don't have any players left. Their linebacking core is very solid and probably the best in the league overall. Got two inside guys on defense that have played a lot. There's good players. Their quarterback probably played, well, not probably, he did play better than I've ever seen him play in their first game of the year. And they're much improved on the offensive line, so it'll be a huge challenge for us to go up there and play on the road.
Speaking of Yanks, you've seen two different levels. I mean, the last 2 years that you had some success there, and then you guys had some success last year. What was the key for you guys last year?
He didn't play up there when we played him. He was out of the game 2 years ago, but he played here, and he had a depleted offensive line, and they had a hard time getting anything going here last year. But when you look at them on tape, it's not the same team.
Coach, you talked about the defensive tackles against LSU. They really got a lot of good push up the middle. Had about 11 tackles.
They're good players. They were starters. The one guy was a defensive end, and they moved him inside. And then in the second half, they actually played him back at defensive end. So, but they're both experienced guys and good players. Against LSU, they started the true freshman, but he didn't play very much in the second half. The other defensive end's a big kid. He's about 6'6" or 6'7" that runs really well. They some good athletes. And the same thing in the secondary. I think their corners were athletic. The two safeties were young. I shouldn't say young. I guess they hadn't played a lot, inexperienced maybe, but they held their own. They played okay.
Coach, after reviewing the tape, what bothered you the most against Kansas?
I don't know. There's a lot of things. I mean, it's never as good or as bad as it seems. And you watch the tape, and it was almost like one of those deals where you'd put your finger in the hole over here and it'd pop over here. Or if these guys did what they were supposed to, this guy didn't. Or we just didn't play solid. I think if we played really solid in any one phase, it would have probably been enough to win the game. But we really didn't get a solid performance out of anything, either special teams, defense, or offense, really.
Steven Sylvester has been playing first, second down, and coming off the field. He had 2 sacks and a deflection. Is he going to be on the field on third down in the future?
No, I don't think there's any plans to put him out there. He had a sack in the game Saturday. I think they turned him loose. Nobody blocked him off the edge. He had one and caused a fumble. He hadn't been in the nickel package. I don't think that they've added him. They could have, but I don't think so.
Paul, you made a comment last week that the players' minds had better be on Kansas and not the fact they lost the prior week. Do you think that your players were into it mentally during their week of preparation leading up to that game to the point they needed to be?
We were talking about it at staff in the meeting this morning on offense. We were going over some things. Actually, the practice last week wasn't that bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad. We practiced a lot worse than one. I think it was just a couple things. They're not as bad as everybody thinks they are. They made a bunch of plays when they had to make plays. And we just didn't play with any zip or burning desire. It's like they wanted to win more than we did. And you can't play that way. We can't play that way at Georgia Tech. There might be some place. I've never coached anywhere where you could play that way and win, where you can just punch the clock. There might be a couple of teams out there that can do that. We can't. And the bottom line, we still had a chance to win the game. We just couldn't make any plays when we had to make them. Penalties. We were our own worst enemy. We couldn't get out of our own way. And I think a lot of that has to do with mentally being ready to play. We've gotta do a better job, and I gotta do a better job, making them focus in. I mean, I talked about it all week, but clearly they weren't listening. So, hopefully you learn. Sometimes too, you just get beat. You know, the other team's got 85 guys on scholarship too.
You talked about looking forward to, getting into the conference, action. What did the events of last week, show in terms of is this a wide open situation in the ACC right now?
You know, I think so. You know, everybody wants to write the history and deem everything after 2 weeks in the season. You know, I'd let the thing play out before we decided that somebody's year's over and somebody else is done. Because you never know what's going to happen. It changes. I mean, I think you could go any year and look at this, like I said before about the rankings or whatever. It's nuts to do them before you play 4 weeks. Nobody knows. And there's teams right now that are sitting undefeated, hadn't lost a game, that'll get, as soon as they play somebody, they may get embarrassed. I mean, you just don't know. You know, by the time the thing plays out, we'll see. I would think that the conference is you know, open, but I thought it was open all along. I never thought that there was one team that was preordained that was gonna march through and go undefeated and beat everybody. I mean, and there still might be someone that does that, but I think it's been wide open.
You've always said that good teams don't lose 2 games in a row. Is this a chance to find out early in the season if you have a good game?
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge for us. We've gotta play better. If we don't play better than we did the first 2 games, we're not gonna win Saturday, I can tell you that. It's the best team we've played.
Is Boyd gonna be a big challenge for the secondary?
I don't know, we try not to focus on one guy. I mean, we you know, we put in our plan for North Carolina. He's you know, he had 2 big long catches. I think anytime they're able to throw the ball that far down the field like they did to him, you know, the quarterback has a lot of time, scrambled outside the pocket, and he's got good speed and good ability, but you know, we're not gonna do anything special for him.
Did you see anything from any of the seniors, perhaps on the plane ride home or at practice yesterday, that shows that they're trying to be leaders and tell the guys we've got to step up, we've got to play harder?
Oh, it's easy to talk. I don't want to see anybody talking. You know, show me, don't tell me. We'll see what they can do on Saturday. You do it by playing and doing your job and doing what's right. It's easy. Anybody can stand up on the plane and go, hey guys, this is, you know, we're coming this week, you know, until you get hit in the mouth the first time. And so, you know, let's see what happens on Saturday.
A couple of other ACC coaches who experienced losses last week said that their practices so far this week have been a little bit quieter, more deliberate. Have you noticed any changes in the attitude of the players in practice so far?
We only had the one yesterday, and it's more conditioning practice and error correction. But yeah, there wasn't a lot of hooping and hollering going on. Yeah. I mean, we'll find out starting today how serious we are.
You said on Sunday that you could imagine that there would be changes to some of the starters on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Have y'all decided if there are?
We probably will by the end of the week. You know, it'll come off practice and some of those things, but not just defense. There could be different starters on a lot of teams. I mean, I don't think you're gonna see wholesale changes if that's what you're looking for.
No.
But they could be, you know, a couple guys on each side of the ball. Just from injury alone, there will be, you know, we'll get Will Jackson back on offense. So I'm pretty sure if he can go, that's one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're always looking at receiver and A-back and different places, so.
Were you guys reluctant last week to run to the left, like where Will was at? It seemed like you guys ran a lot of plays to the right.
No. Never entered my mind. I mean, we're going off the numbers and the way they're lined up. That part of it never entered my mind.
Coach, is it challenging preparing for a team that you might not know their personnel on the field? As you mentioned, the turmoil they've had, seems like every other day they might be adding a player to the active roster from
No, I think you know what they do. I mean, you prepare for the schemes. You don't prepare for the individuals. I mean, you know, I think that you've got to match up, but you know, whoever they play at receiver is going to be a good player. You know, it's not like they've got a first-round draft choice here and the guy that replaces them is a walk-on. You know, they're all pretty good players, and the same thing on defense. It's like a coach told me one time, they all came highly recommended. So, I mean, I'm sure that they're all highly recruited, and sometimes you don't know how good somebody is till you see them play. The guy who was a backup might end up being better than the guy who was playing.
How is it more important when you're getting ready to play a team that's likely to pass more than run, at least based on what we know so far, that more D linemen rotate in and out?
We've got to get some rotation. We talked about that. We talked about it last week. We got to do more of it. I don't know that they'll pass more than they run. I hope so. I hope that they, you know, because if they can do both, you're in a world of